Hello everyone, good afternoon and welcome to our NUS School of Computing live session. Okay, this is an Ask Me Anything. My name is Terence. I'm an associate professor here at the school. And with me in the studio or classroom, we have other faculty members, other profs and other staff. And we're all here to engage with you to be able to answer your questions. All right, we are coming to you live on different platforms. We are on Facebook Live, on Instagram, as well as on YouTube. Okay, so please feel free to interact with us through these platforms. All right, before we begin, just to let you know today's program, as you can see on your screen, we have a full day's worth of programs. Every hour on the hour, there will be a talk given by different professors or alumni. Okay, so this is the 12 o'clock hour, which is the Ask Me Anything with me, Terence. All right. And as I mentioned before, we are on these three platforms, Facebook Live, Instagram, and YouTube Live. So please use this platform to comment and to ask questions in our live chat. Also, we are on Discord. The link is given to you. Today from 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. you can use Discord to also interact. All our professors are here to be able to clarify any doubts that you might have. Okay? And beyond today, we are also on Telegram. You can see the link given to you. That starts from tomorrow, Thursday, until Saturday. Okay? 10 to 10. So that's a lot of time for you to interact with us. Please make use of this opportunity. We truly want to help you make an informed decision. Also, we have lined up for you an exciting AR game, augmented reality game. You play it, use the link below to find out how to play the game, and you stand to win some really cool prizes while at the same time learning more about our school. Okay, and this slide will show you the various ways that you can contact us, how to apply. Okay, the deadline will be March 19, but you can click on the website. Find out more from our join.computing website, and you can also email us at the address given. All right. So once again, thank you very much for joining this session. My name is Terence. This is an Ask Me Anything session. I'd like to begin with a little bit of self-introduction. Okay, so let me show you this thing. Okay, can people see this? Okay, so this is a check, right? This is an instrument to make payment, okay? And why is this? Well, this has a story to play. This has a role to play in my life as a computing professional. So in my first job, back in the early 90s, I worked for a large local bank, right? And in those days, we had ATM machines, but we didn't have internet banking and certainly no phone banking. So a lot of the payment was done during using checks, right? Because there was no PayLah, PayNow, all that kind of stuff. A lot of payments, I remember signing lots of checks every month to pay my bills. And so at the bank has a lot of checks to process. And back in those days, a lot of information on the check could be automated. Okay, so for example, you could read the amount, both numeric amount and the amount in words, as well as the date, the payee, and all that. So all this could be automatically extracted and compared and processed, okay, except the signature. Okay, the signature is something that still required manual verification. So every morning before 9 a.m. at every branch, all the banking officers would be deployed to what is called cut checks. Okay, they were asked to process the check, verify them, and make sure they are good for payment. And the 9 a.m. deadline was given to us by the MAS, Monetary Authority of Singapore. So there was a lot of people just cutting checks every morning, which is a huge requirement of resources. So it got me thinking, right? I thought, could I write a program that can compare two signatures, okay, and verify them, and therefore say whether this check is good for payment or not? So that got me thinking, okay? And I remember lunchtime that day, I walked across the street and there was a bookstore there across my workplace, and I bought a book called Digital Image Processing. Okay, and that's how I started to learn about image manipulation. Very quickly, I realized that what I knew wasn't enough, and I decided to go on for a PhD. Okay, fast forward 20 years later, I'm now a professor at the School of Computing, where we do all this kind of cool stuff, okay, that make an impact, not just for banking, but in our everyday lives. Okay, so that's how the check actually got me into this business. And I want to convince you that now is a great time to do computing. Okay? People are talking about Industry 4.0, right? The Industrial Revolution 4.0, and a lot of it is powered by the computer, the smartphones that you and I have in our hands. So allow me to show you a simple demo, a very cute demo from my laptop here. And remember, I am a computer vision guy, right? So my expertise is to process images, especially of faces. And this demo, I can help women find makeup that's suitable for them. So I've uploaded a face of this lady without makeup. And what my app will try to do is it will analyze the face, look at the shape, look at the skin complexion, and then find 5 celebrities. Okay, we have a database of many celebrities. My app will look through and find 5 celebrities that look like the user. So it has found these 5 celebrities, as you can see. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Some are Asian, some are from Hollywood, Western actresses. And once it found 5 celebrities, now the assumption we're making is that whatever looks good on that celebrity will look good on the user, because the user looks like the celebrities, right? And so now we can transfer the makeup from this first celebrity onto the user. So you can see here, this is the before makeup, this is the after makeup. Okay, can you see that? Here's the before, and here's the after. Okay, and we can also select another celebrity and have the makeup on her be transferred over. Okay, and because this makeup is digitally applied, you can actually try on different makeups as well, very, very quickly, and you can see what you look like. So here, okay, this is the before, and this is the after. Okay, once again, that's the before, and that's the after. So these are some of the cool things that we can do with image processing, AI, and that kind of stuff. Let me just show you one more, if I may. Okay, this is a fun one. Okay, it works on men too, right? Who says only women need makeup? Okay, so here's an example where we upload the name of the face of a famous president. Okay, that's him. This is before, and this is after. Check this out. Doesn't he look pretty? All right. So we can do that with computing technology. Okay, and this shows you that computing is really in our everyday lives now, especially apps with cameras, with high powered CPUs, both in your laptops, in your phones. Computing is everywhere, even in your homes. Okay, so at this moment, I would like to take on questions that you may have. Please chat with us on the various platforms, and I'll be happy to answer your questions. All right, here's the first question. Will poly students be at a better advantage to cope with the subjects at NUS computing versus JC students? Okay, so this is a comparison between poly and JC students. A very good question. The short answer is that each type of student will have their own advantage and disadvantage. So let me explain. So students who come to us from poly would typically have done a diploma in one of the IT courses, right? Be it info security or information systems or just general CS. Okay, so they would have already learned some of the topics that we also teach. Of course, we go in much more depth. Okay, the JC students, if you take H2 A-level computing, you will also learn some of that, although not in as much depth as the poly students. But typically, JC students are better trained in mathematics. And mathematics is an important foundation for computer science. Okay? So poly students may be better at the coding, at understanding some of the basics in computing, but JC students are typically better trained in mathematics. And that lays a very good foundation for you. Okay? But whichever background you have, not to worry, we will train you, and we will train you well. Okay? By the end of the first year, and maybe in the second year, the playing field will be leveled. All right, I hope that answered your question. Let's look at another question. How is the stress level and workload like for CS? Do you think people who are not from computing courses or from NUS High be able to cope? Or would people who got B grade for A-level math fare more poorly? Well, there are several questions here. I'll try and get through them quickly. Stress level. The stress level comes in cycles, right? Because we operate on a semester system. Okay, so at the start of the semester, you know, all the classes are ramping up. Stress level is typically low, but by the midterm and the second half of the semester, a lot of things will be due. Okay, you would have projects due, you have your midterms, you have your exams, and it can get really, really stressful. Okay, especially when you take a lot of courses that have projects due within a few days of each other. So I kid you not, the stress level can get high. It's intense for a couple of weeks, maybe a month, and then it will taper down. Okay, and then the next semester it repeats over again. Okay, the next question will be comparing students from NUS High or from non-computing courses. We do not assume that you have prior computing knowledge. Okay, so you don't even need to know any programming or take any computing in high school or secondary school. We will train you from scratch. Okay, those that have a slight advantage maybe during their first year. Okay, but those that do not have, do not fear, you won't be at a disadvantage. We train you up from scratch very, very quickly. Math is important. Math is important because it trains you to have logical thinking skills and it gives you the confidence to tackle a lot of the stuff that you need to learn. All right? Here's an interesting question. What is the number of students intake this year for the different programs in NUS computing? Okay, we have 5 degree programs, right? 5 degree programs, and they take in different number of students. Our flagship degree course is computer science, and typically we see about 500 to 600 students. I think this year we may go up to 700. Okay, overall, our intake for all the 5 degree programs, we expect to take in about 1,200 to 1,300 thereabouts. We have been taking in this many students for the past 3 years. And this is already double what we took 5 years ago. Okay, so we have ramped up our intake really, really rapidly over the past 5 years. Okay, so I can't give you specific enrollment numbers for the different degree programs, but overall we take in about 12 to 1,300 students, but they are not evenly distributed, right? CS, the main flagship, is probably 700. IS is probably close to 200. Information security is a smaller cohort, but I hope these numbers give you a sense of our enrollment. All right, next question. Hi, I would like to know what's the advantage of taking a double degree program, okay? E.g., CS, math, DDP more useful in the future, and are there wider opportunities for such DDP students? Yes, certainly if you are more academically capable, okay, do consider a double degree or a double major, which is one step down from a double degree, okay? So if you do that, clearly that widens your scope, okay? So for example, CS and math, okay, that would train you very well in the area of data science, statistical modeling, okay, data analytics, at least the technical side of it, okay? Of course, if you take CS with business, then you can move into business analytics. The business side of data analytics as well. Okay, and certainly that opens you up to more skills, that trains you in more skill sets, and your job opportunities will be wider. Okay, that being said, even with a single degree, computing, any of our 5-degree programs will allow you to get into every industry, because every industry now requires computing. Okay. Next question. What are some scholarships that foreign students can get? That's an interesting question. I don't have the information. It's on our OAM, Office of Admissions webpage. There aren't too many scholarships for foreign students. Most of them are for Singaporeans. Foreign students, I think your choices are more limited. Okay, I don't have the information offhand. I would direct you to the main Office of Admissions webpage. Please look that up. Here's another question. Would software engineering jobs be harder to get if I took comp engineering instead of comp science? No, because computer engineering, the focus, as you know, will be more in towards the hardware side of things. Okay, but if you want, you can take up software engineering as a course. Okay, we do have 2 courses. One is a more theory, and one is a very hands-on, where you get to build a large project. Okay, and even within computer engineering, you're talking about software that controls other hardware. Okay, embedded systems. So that would still require software engineering. Okay, so it's just at a different scale from banking systems and so on. So no, I wouldn't say that software engineering jobs will be harder to get. Next question. How will NUS computing be affected by NUS push for interdisciplinary education in the next 5 years? Wow, that's a very good question. At this moment, we don't know the extent of how it will be affected, but we have already been doing this. Okay, even prior to this notion of interdisciplinary education has been with us for many years. Okay, so for example, all freshmen are required to take a number of courses that satisfy the university requirements. Okay, across 4 to 5 pillars. Okay, computational thinking is something that they have to learn. Okay, across all the majors. Okay, and that's something that our faculty has been largely involved to teach students in other faculties. All right. So likewise, our students get to take courses in the science and even in the humanities. Okay. So this interdisciplinary nature has already been there. Okay. But going forward, will it change? We don't know. A lot depends on how the educational landscape changes in response to economic demands and so on. So at the moment, it's hard to tell, but nevertheless, we already have that foundation, okay, to make sure that you are well trained. Does computer engineering have things like IC designs, where students learn about circuits and ICs, or is that an EE subject? Unfortunately, I cannot answer the question. Let me see if I can tap on to my colleagues from CEG. Okay, give me a moment while I refer to my CEG profs. Sorry, I can't hear you. No, I'm not hearing it. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Thank you. So my colleague, Prof. Charmanchun, who leads the CEG program, he has this to say, you can take it as an elective, right? So if you're familiar with how courses are organized at NUS, it's 3 baskets. There's the university requirements, which I mentioned earlier. There's the core computing requirements that takes up 2/3 of your studies here. And then finally, about 1/3 of modules are free electives. Okay, so you, as a computer engineering student, or as a matter of fact, for any of our 5 degree programs, if you're interested in IC designs, you can definitely pick that up. And that will be taught by the ECE department. Okay, so you do have a chance to learn that. It's not mandatory because the computer engineering course is already very packed. Okay, but you have the freedom of using the electives to take such a course. All right, thank you. Another question, what is the workload for the double degree program, DDP, including computing? How many computing students take DDP? Oh, I see. Well, I don't know about the second part. I'll try and get a colleague to answer that, but let me answer the first question. Think about it this way. Okay, a double degree program means you are trying to graduate with 2 degrees in 4 years, in the same time as it takes to do 1 degree. So what does that mean? That means you have to overload, right? You definitely need to take more courses per semester. Your school fee stays the same, and to give you a sense, a typical course load per semester is about 4 to 5. Most students take on average 4 to 5 modules per semester. If you overload, you have to go up to 6 or even 7, and that can be really heavy. So the DDP is definitely for academically strong students. Okay. As for the number of students that currently take DDP, I don't have the exact number, but it's 5 students or 5%. It's about 5. It's a small percentage. Oh, I see. I'm sorry. I was corrected. It takes 5 years to do a double degree, not 4 years. Okay? But nevertheless, there will be a certain amount of overload that you have to do so. As for the number of students taking DDP, we don't have the figures for you right now. It's not a lot, okay? It's only for academically strong students. Like I said, the vast majority of our students take a single degree. All right? Here's a question. Are data science AI classes similar to computer science AI classes? I don't know, because data science, strictly speaking, is not taught by our school. Okay? Computer science AI classes are more broad-based, I would say. We give you a broad scope of AI, which covers machine learning, reinforcement learning, knowledge representation, logic inference, and all that. Okay? The data science in AI, my guess is that it may focus more on the machine learning part. Okay? So there will be a lot of overlap, of course. But specific differences, unfortunately, I'm unable to comment on that. What is the percentage of NUS computing students who get to go overseas for overseas programs such as NOC? The NOC, in case you're not aware, is the NUS Overseas College. Okay, and let me show you. I have a slide here. This is a good chance to show you these slides. Okay, let me share my screen with you. Okay, can you see my screen here? Okay, in this slide, I'm showing you the NUS Overseas College, or NOC for short. Now, this is open to all students at NUS, not just those from our school. Okay, so as long as you're an NUS student, you can apply for this, and typically there will be an interview process and a certain number will be selected. That number has grown over the years. The reason being is that we now have 12 locations. 11 are overseas, one of them is Singapore, as you can see here, in places like Silicon Valley, Stockholm, Beijing, Shanghai, New York, Toronto, and so on, even in Europe. Okay? So what you get to do here is that you can spend either 6 months or 1 year at one of these places and be attached to a startup company. Okay, and typically you'll be working in a company full-time, and in the evening, if you want, you can take classes at the famous local university with which we already have a tie-up. So for example, in Silicon Valley, you'll be taking classes at Stanford University. How cool is that? And you get to pay NUS fees, not Stanford fees. That's a huge difference there. Okay, and needless to say, Silicon Valley, there is a high demand for SOC students, computing students, for obvious reasons, right? But all the other places as well, you will see computing students being in demand, as well as students from other faculties in NUS. Okay, so that's something you can consider. Now, in terms of the percentage, again, I don't have the figures. It changes every year, but it will be highly selective, right? But I can tell you, if you get to go, you come back, you'll be all fired up because it's a great environment to experience a different culture, to live in a foreign city, experience a startup culture, and be able to take classes with students from all over the world there as well. All right? So do consider that when you come in here. Here's a question. Is it possible to go into a single degree program at the start of my undergrad year and then later switch to a double degree program? Yes, definitely. In fact, I would say most of our students who do the DP, they do that. Okay, they apply first of all only for a single degree. Okay, and somewhere during their first year, their freshman year, by the time they've taken enough courses, perhaps in the other second degree, then they decide, hey, this is good for me. You know, I don't mind pursuing that. So you can definitely apply after admission. Okay. Now the flip side is, of course, if you do it too late, let's say you do it in your third year, then that could delay your graduation, right? Because the earlier you decide, the more you can plan your courses and be able to take your courses and graduate on time. Okay. Of course, applying to a DDP requires approval from both departments, right? From the School of Computing and from the second department where you're going to get your second degree. Okay, so it's highly selective, but not to worry, you can do that once you get admitted here. All right. Do you learn programming and coding in biz analytics? If so, to what extent are students taught that compared to com science students? Oh, absolutely. You will be doing programming and coding. In fact, I was just teaching a class last semester on Programming Methodology 2, which is the second course. Okay, and the prereq for that is Programming Methodology 1. Okay, so and I have a lot of BZA students, business analytics students. Okay, so you get to learn, and I'm teaching it in Java, but you will learn a different language also. Okay, so most of our computing students are required to learn more than one programming language. So business analytics, you take at least 2 modules in programming, and you will also go on to take a course in data structures. Okay, which is if you can think of programming as a 3-semester, 3 modules thing, you have to take all 3. Okay, and many students go on to take up software engineering as well. So they go through the same rigor as computer science students. My class is mixed. Okay, so I have students doing information systems or BZA together with computer science as well. Okay, so you're going through the same curriculum. Okay, so it's the same rigor. Next question, what is the teaching style in the IS Information Security, I beg your pardon, Information Security degree program? Is it very theory-based? For that, I think, can I defer to my colleague, Prof. Chang Yi-Qian? Okay, let me, yeah, go ahead, I can hear you. Is it very theory? Oh, okay. Okay, so my colleague Prof. Chang Yi-Qian has kindly replied. And yes, it is theory-based, info security. But at the same time, they do learn things like pen testing, right? Penetration testing, which is very hands-on, right? But you also need to know the theory so that you know how to analyze threats and how to look for weaknesses. So a lot of security has to do with verifying that something is secure, as well as hands-on to break what is supposedly secure. Okay, so there will be both theory and hands-on practice. Students love the breaking part, right? It's always cool to try and hack into a system. Okay, next question. What are the programming languages learned in information systems? Information systems, you will start off with Java because that is still the enterprise language of choice for many companies that definitely has a web presence. Java is still the predominant language. Okay, so but as I said, many of our students go on to learn more than just Java. So a common alternative would be Python. You may have heard of it. Okay, or even C. Okay, but in information systems, you will start off with Java, and many students pick up a second language, so to speak. Yeah? It's not Malay or Mandarin, but the second language will be in another computer programming language. What's the difference between a double degree and double major? Which one is more advantageous for bachelor in computing students? They are very different, right? So double degree means you actually get 2 degrees. 2 degrees in 5 years. Okay, so you get a bachelor in computing plus a bachelor in whatever, say in business administration. Okay, whatever your second degree will be. Okay, double major is a single degree, but with 2 majors. Okay, so it's in terms of rigor, it's 1 step down from a double degree, right? So you get a single degree, but with 2 majors, and that will be reflected in your degree and in your transcript. Okay, that is doable in the standard 4 years. So in terms of the length of time, it's the same length of time, a bit less than a double degree. Which one is more advantageous? It's really up to you. Okay, it's how much depth you want to go into your second major or second degree. Okay, so, and you can decide after you come in. You don't have to decide now. Okay, my advice to you is come in as a freshman, take enough classes, okay, in your first year, take courses in the second major that you're interested in, okay, and talk to seniors there as well to find out more. And then you can decide later whether you want to pursue a double major or a double degree. All right? Can I apply for a Comm Science Master in NUS without a Comm Science Bachelor degree? No. You can, provided you have a bachelor in some other, not necessarily in computer science, right? Okay, so I took back what I said just now. You need a bachelor's, of course, in something, maybe something STEM related, in engineering or in the sciences, okay? then you can apply for the master's. All right? Next question, please. How should a student prepare for the CS course before university starts, or would you say it's not necessary? Okay, strictly speaking, it's not necessary. Because as I said before, we will train you up from scratch. We do not assume that you have any prior programming knowledge or computing background. Not at all. Okay? Playing games doesn't count. Sorry. E-shopping doesn't count. Okay? Using Microsoft Word, Excel, sorry, that doesn't count as well. Okay? So no worries. Use this time to do, of course, if you're interested, you can always take up one of those online courses, pursue something of your own interest. You can pick up some basic programming, okay? That will be fine. If you're interested in discrete mathematics, you can pick that up as well. You can learn something about AI if you so choose, or whatever, but it's strictly not necessary at all. You won't be at a disadvantage because we will train you up from scratch. All right? What are the programming languages learned in computer science? Okay, as a CS student, I'm talking about the computer science degree program. The CS student, you will come in, the first language you learn will be JavaScript. JavaScript, which is what powers your web browser. Okay, and then you would take another module which I happen to teach, and there'll be programming methodology 2 that will be done in Java. Okay, and then typically most students pick up something else like C or C++ on their own, or especially if you take up operating systems. Okay, then C is definitely required there, because it's a OS level kind of language. If you take up AI, machine learning, then Python would be used. So at the end of your 4 years here, you would definitely be exposed to a number of different, at least 2 different programming languages. What is the first choice bonus point scheme about, and does it apply to courses in SOC 2? Okay. The first choice bonus points is about getting admitted to NUS. It's not about the modules that you take in School of Computing, right? Let me just clarify that. Okay, so NUS, we have started this scheme where if, you know, in your application form, you have to list 5 choices, if I'm not wrong, 5 choices, 4 to 5 choices. And the first choice, what you put down is your first choice, you get 1 to 2 points advantage, okay, over other students who selected that, but it's not their first choice. So for example, if you chose our Bachelor of Computing in Information Systems as your first choice, okay, you would get the bonus points, okay, compared to someone else who put the BCom IS as their second or third choice. They will not get that. So you have that extra. So that determines whether you get admitted into your first preference, your first choice, okay? And that is separate from the modules that you actually take, whether it's a IS module or CS, I mean the AI module, for example, the actual module that you take per semester. Okay, so that's what the first choice bonus scheme is about. All right. What's the difference between business analytics computing and data science analytics at the College of Humanities and Sciences programs? Yes. Okay. So this is a good question because there is clearly an overlap between the two. Okay, between what we offer in our school, which is called business analytics, and between that and the data science analytics program offered by College of Humanities and Sciences, because they have merged, right? It's a merger of Faculty of Science and Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences. All right, so I would say that the difference will be in the proportion the kind of modules that you take. So let me explain. In our computing business analytics, okay, the modules that you take cover 3 areas: computing, okay, business, as well as mathematics, statistics. Okay, and each are given about equal weightage. So 1/3 of your modules will be in computing, 1/3 will be in business, 1/3 will be in statistics and math. And that gives you a very good foundation required for this. Okay, the data science, the focus will be more on data science itself. So there'll be a lot more on statistics. You will take some computing, but much less than our BZA program. And you will also learn some business, but again, much less. So the weightage will be different. Okay, it'll be predominantly will be math and statistics focus. All right, let's move along. Next question. What is the school's expectation from a scholarship recipient, and what are the percentage of scholars? School's expectation. Okay, most scholarships, okay, have this thing in common. You have to maintain a minimum grade, right? Minimum CAP. Okay, that's the equivalent of GPA in the US system. We call it the CAP. Okay, so it's a number out of 5 that tells you, that summarizes how well you've been doing. It's a cumulative grade point. Okay, you definitely have to maintain a high CAP. It varies from scholarships to scholarships, but out of 5, you need at least 4 point something and above. As I said, it varies from between different scholarships. Second part of the question, what are the percentage of scholars in NUS computing? That is hard to tell because there are so many different kinds of scholarships that we offer. Some are by private companies, some are by foundations, some are by government agencies, okay? And some are NUS scholars as well. And some are also on bursaries, which we consider a form of scholarship as well. Okay, so we don't have that figure, okay? But if you're interested, please apply, okay? Most of the scholarships, as far as I'm aware, do not have a fixed quota, okay? So as long as they are deserving candidates, they will be awarded, all right? There's no hard quota. But if you don't apply, then you will not get a chance, obviously. Okay, so I encourage you to apply. All right. Okay, so we have about 5 minutes remaining. 5 minutes remaining, which means I can take probably a couple more questions. So let's do this one. When will I have to choose a focus area to specialize in if I take CS? Would it be in the first or second year? And will I have time to explore different focus areas before choosing? Okay, so that's a good question. So let me just give some background to other students who might not be aware. Within CS, actually within all our 5 degree programs, we do have focus areas. Okay, these are areas of specialization. Okay, so for example, in CS, we have 10 focus areas. Example would be networking, AI, game development, and so on, right? In IS, information systems, focus area could be fintech, okay, e-commerce, for example, okay? So focus areas are a basket of modules, 3 or 4, that goes further in depth in a particular area, okay? And typically you do that in your 3rd and 4th year, not in your 1st year, not even in your 2nd year, okay? Because in your 1st year, you'll be satisfying the university level requirements and the core of your computing degree, okay? That would typically take up your 1st and 2nd year. You will only start to do your focus area in your 3rd and 4th year, okay? But definitely you can use your electives. You can have time to explore different focus areas even in your 1st year. Why not? In fact, you're encouraged to do so, all right? Okay, so let me take one more last question and then we can wrap up. Okay, let me just take one more question. What are the computing languages taught for Master of Computing for non-CS undergrads? for non-CS undergrads. Okay, so this is a question more for Masters of Computing, for non-CS. I don't know the answer to that one, I'm afraid, because it's about Masters. We would assume that we do have a foundation course, right, for Masters and even PhD students to take. I'm not sure what language they use. And typically for non-CS, we'd assume that you have learned some programming also. For instance, if you come from science or engineering, typically you would have learned some programming. It doesn't matter what language there, okay? It's the ability to program that's more important. All right, so with that, I'm afraid I have to end this session. Thank you so much for joining in. I apologize if I cannot get to your question. I know you have tons and tons of questions, but our time for this slot is up. Please stay on, right? In the next hour, we'll have other professors coming in who can also engage with you. Please use our Discord channel as well. All our professors in this room are busy responding to that as well. Okay, so as you can see on the screen, these are the ways you can reach out to us, okay, on Telegram, on Discord, on, and even our webpage, and send us email. All right, thank you so much. Have a good day, and I hope to see you one day as our student in my class. Bye for now.